One of my favorite series that I started doing this year is where we nerd out over different types of chrome shadows. It's given me a chance to share both new and older favorites, and it's been fun to hear about how you all have really been enjoying it too. So in this video, we are going to be nerding out over all different types of seafoam greens. I've got a vast range of options from mainstream to indie brands. And what I really like to do is some detailed overhead swatches as well as demos with each and every shade. I actually made a short on this a couple of weeks ago, and it seemed like people were pretty interested in seafoams. And I'm happy to say that I think that all of these shades are currently available. I do have discount affiliate codes with indie brands, so I will put those in the description box, and the mainstream items will be linked. Let's go ahead and get into it. First, we have a Super Shock shadow from ColourPop, and this is actually new to me. This is a part of their original Pokemon collection. And let me tell you, I really was not prepared for how beautiful this one is. When I did my short video, I actually had a bunch of people tell me about this Super Shock shadow. It has that seafoam green base and this gorgeous pink sparkle and shift throughout. And while I think that ColourPop has done a lot of really good neutral shades, I still think that my favorite from them are their more colorful Super Shock shadows. This has to be in the top 10 that I've tried from them. All right, and the next shade I wanted to include is actually a highlighter from NYX. And to date, these I think are still my favorite highlighters from the brand. This is the shade Butter Mint, and on my skin tone, I actually feel like this particular shade is better as eyeshadow. If you have a lighter skin tone, it will probably work better for you on the cheeks than it does for me. What I love about this shade in particular is it has a very smooth texture. It's still very sparkly. It's super ethereal. Not all of the shades in their range have all the same formula. This one in particular is the best formula. I wish it came in more shades. All right, and next we have an eyeshadow formula that I've talked about several times before. These are the Chroma Light shadows from Moira. Super affordable and really do pack a punch. Most of them are duochrome, and actually, fun fact, you can get Moira at CVS now, which is huge. They do have a drier formula, so I don't think that people would experience much creasing with them. I do think the sparkle particles are a little bit larger. You can see that this shade has a seafoam green base and kind of a blue shift to it. All right, and the next shade I have is actually a loose pigment from Karla Cosmetics. I've mentioned these pigments a few times before because they are one of the more unique formulas in my collection. The thing is, the pigments from Karla Cosmetics are really pricey, but you can't deny that they are very pretty, and I love the way that they apply to the cheeks. They can really be worn in a wide variety of ways. Definitely use them with a primer on the lid to get the most kind of impact from them. Clever Clogs is a seafoam, and it has green and light blue sparkles throughout. Next, we have a shadow from Naba Cosmetics. This is another brand that I've talked about several times over the past year because they have some great options when it comes to shimmers and chromes, especially on more of a budget. This is the shade Loba, which has some sheerness to it. I would say it's kind of semi-sheer. It's a seafoam with primarily a blue shift. It has a smooth texture and a very sparkly finish. I have noticed that they have good sales on the site as well as good kind of bundle deals in case you're curious. All right, now we're going to get into several shadows from Terra Moons. Terra Moons is one of the OG indie brands that I tried many years ago. And this right here is probably one of my favorite greens from the brand. This is the shade Chromosphere, which is on the newer side to the brand. I think it came out this year. If not this year, then last year. But it has this beautiful light green base and primarily a strong golden shift. I think I even included the shade in my Chromiest Chromes video because the shift in this one is just really beautiful and intense. This texture from Terra Moons is also one of my favorites, where it's super sparkly, it's shifty, but it's not too flaky. All right, and the next shade we have is also newer to Terra Moons. I believe this came out just in their most recent launch. This is the shade Nimbus. This is one of their duochrome shadows, and Terra Moons has some great duochrome shadows for under that $10 price point. I like that this shade is semi-sheer, so you can build it up for a higher opacity if you want, but you can also kind of layer it over other shadows, and the effect will be completely different. I love that this is packed with multicolored sparkles. You have some pink, some baby blue. The sparkle particles are a little bit larger in size, but there's no flakiness to it. The next shade we have from Terra Moons is called Kiwi Constellation. This is also one of their newer shades, though this one is a multichrome. It definitely gives similar vibes to the shade Nimbus, but this one has more pink in it and a much stronger pink shift to it. Texture-wise, I would say that there is a little bit of flakiness to the shadow, but it smooths out with your finger. This shade is definitely in that family of shadows that shift from green to pink. All right, the next shade we have is Ganymede, and this is quite an old shadow at this point. This came out, I want to say, 4 years ago. This is when Terra Moons was doing a lot of flakier shadows. The impact on this one is super high, and I do really love the shift in it. It shifts pink, but it also shifts like fiery tones, like orange and red and yellow. The main thing is this really isn't my preferred texture from Terra Moons. I would really love if they came out with a shadow like Ganymede with a smoother texture. All right, and I have two shadows that I wanted to include from Touch of Glam Beauty. These are both in their Color Me Multi line, which in my opinion is definitely one of their most unique lines. They all come in these little square pans, which is a pale green with a fiery tone shift. This to me is kind of like a cross between Ganymede and Chromosphere from Terra Moons. The texture of the Color Me Multi shadows is super soft, so you will get pigment even with like the lightest touch of your finger. I think the Color Me Multi shades from Touch of Glam are probably their shiftiest shadows. The second shade I have from Touch of Glam is called It's a Pastel Paradise, and in comparison to the shade that I just showed, this one is definitely more in that kind of pale green and silvery pink category, so much cooler toned, no warm tone shifts in this one, and texture-wise it feels exactly the same as a Cherished Memory. I think in this category of shadows in general, you'll see trends with the shifts of the shades. And I always like to say that the choice of shadow usually comes down to texture and finish. All right, and all of the remaining shades that I'm showing are from Clionadh, and I believe there's 8 of them. I do have a whole video dedicated to Clionadh greens and a bunch of dedicated Clionadh videos in general. Sterling is definitely up there when it comes to favorite greens from Clionadh. I just love how ethereal this one is. There's really no chrome shift to it, at least not to my eye, but I love the smoother texture, that it's very sparkly. And I really love the iciness of the shade because it really is just like green and silver. It's very light and ethereal. Lineage definitely has some similarities to Sterling, both in its texture and the overall look of the shadow. It's such that I definitely don't think that one would need both, just because the overall vibes of the shadows are so close, but you can see that Lineage has a little bit more pink to it. It shifts to a very kind of icy pink tone, versus there really wasn't any pink that I could detect in Sterling. And I also just wanted to share this seafoam green look that I did using Lineage not too long ago. I combined the About Face eye paint as my base and then layered over top with Lineage. And as my highlighting shade, I used that loose pigment from Karla Cosmetics called Clever Clogs. I really love the way that this tone pops on brown skin, but I feel like it would be flattering on such a wide range of skin tones. Okay, and the next shade I have is called Duke. This is a seafoam green base. It has medium size sparkle particles, so definitely more textured than the shades that I was just showing. And it shifts gold and pink and orange. I would say actually this is giving the vibes of Ganymede, but it has a bit more pink and a little bit less orange. It definitely gives the vibes of the shade though, and Clionadh has quite a number of shades in this category in general. Alright, I couldn't make this video and not include the shade Mural. To this day, this is one of my favorite shades from Clionadh, and I think it is for a lot of people. It's one that's really withstood the test of time. It's been out for, I want to say 4 years. It is one of the OG electric multichromes, and what I love about this whole electric line is that they have so many options when it comes to shifty special chrome shadows, and they tend to have quite a smooth texture to them that makes them quite approachable. And especially when, you know, some of these chrome shadows that I'm showing don't necessarily have a smooth texture, it's nice to have some that have that option. Ripple is, I think, one of Clionadh's OG shadows that came out like 10 years ago. It's one of their glitter type shadows, and they have some of my favorite shades in this whole line in general, and they have some great options for under $10. Ripple has what I would describe as a semi-sheer base. It shifts mostly to an aqua, as the name implies, because these are glitter type shadows. They do have more texture than, say, the electric multichromes, but they also have more sparkle to them. A lot of the glitter type shadows from Clionadh I find to still be quite manageable to work with. Alright, the next shade we have is Emblem, and this is definitely giving some similar vibes to the shade Duke, though the textures of the shades are definitely different. Emblem is in the electric multichrome category, whereas Duke is in the glitter vibrant category. So Emblem has a smoother texture, and to me it has maybe just a hint more grunginess to it, but honestly that might just be kind of splitting hairs. Mostly it comes down to a texture difference. Motif is also an electric multichrome. I would say that compared to some of the other electric shadows that I've shown, it is a little bit more on the sparkly side, so has maybe just slightly more texture to it. This is primarily a green to blue shifting shade. There were several options that I showed in this category, including a few from Terra Moons. I would say the ones from Terra Moons are more sparkly, but also have a little bit more texture to them. Also, Loba, the shade from Naba, has a similar vibe as well, but is a bit more sheer. Green to blue shifting shades, I think in general, have become more of a favorite of mine this year. But as many people know, blue is my favorite color, so chromes that shift blue in general I tend to be more drawn to. Okay, the last shade that I included in this category is Gargoyle Light. I still felt like this shade was worth including in the seafoam green category. It truly is one of my favorite greens from Clionadh. It's a gray base shadow. It has quite a smooth texture to it, and it's got primarily a pink shift. I think what I love about this particular shade is that it's grungy while still maintaining a quality of being ethereal. Not something that's easy to do. Alright, somehow we have managed to nerd out over, I want to say probably close to 20 different shadows in the seafoam green category. I've truly missed doing this series, but I've had some other videos that I've wanted to get out, and they are truthfully one of my more time-consuming videos as well, especially because I have to pull in B-roll footage for the demos. But with that being said, I would love to hear what you think about this whole category of seafoam green. I would love to hear about other categories of shimmer shadows that you would enjoy seeing me nerd out over. I'd love to know which shades were your favorites, and if you have any other favorites in this category in general. If you made it to the end of my video, I would love it if you left me some type of sea-themed emoji, or an emoji that's seafoam green. As always, I hope you found my video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.